The blue light from the computer screen lit up the small apartment. Dirty dishes and empty pizza boxes were all over the place. In the middle of it all sat Kevin Jones, lost in his game world. His fingers moved fast over the keyboard. He had been playing for 15 hours straight. This was normal for Kevin. At 30 years old, he lived alone and worked from home as a website designer. But his real life was in the games he played. Kevin was good at games. Very good. He could see patterns that others missed. He could remember complex game maps after seeing them just once, and he could think 3 steps ahead of his opponents. These skills made him one of the top players in several online games. Tonight, Kevin was trying to beat his own record in Galaxy Warriors, a space battle game where players fight aliens and collect resources. He had just reached level 50 when something strange happened. The screen flickered. At first, Kevin thought it was a power problem, but then the flickering got worse. The light from the screen changed from blue to a bright green. "What is wrong with this stupid computer?" Kevin said as he hit the side of the monitor. He thought, maybe his graphics card was dying. These things were expensive to replace. The green light grew brighter. Then, to Kevin's surprise, the light seemed to come out of the screen. It filled the room, so bright that he had to close his eyes. When he opened them again, he was no longer in his apartment. Kevin found himself in a large round room with metal walls. The floor under his feet hummed with energy. The air smelled strange, like ozone and something sweet he couldn't name. "Hello?" Kevin called out. His voice echoed around the empty room. "Is this some kind of joke?" A section of the wall slid open. 3 creatures walked in. They were not human. They stood about 7 feet tall. Their skin was pale gray and seemed to shimmer slightly. They had long, thin arms with 6 fingers on each hand. Their heads were large with no hair, but their most strange feature was their eyes. Each had 4 eyes, 2 large ones where human eyes would be and 2 smaller ones higher up on their foreheads. Kevin backed away until he hit the wall behind him. "This isn't real," he said. "I fell asleep at my computer. This is just a dream." The tallest of the creatures stepped forward. It wore something like a uniform, dark blue with strange symbols on the chest. When it spoke, the sound was like water, bubbling and rocks grinding together. A small device on its uniform glowed, and then Kevin heard English words. "Human specimen. You have been selected for study," the creature said. "I am Fleet Commander Zorn of the Kraxel Empire. You are now aboard our research vessel in orbit around your planet." Kevin's legs felt weak. He slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. "Aliens? Real aliens? You've got to be kidding me." The second alien, wearing a white covering, moved closer. "I am Chief Scientist Vela," she said, Kevin thought. It sounded female. "We have been observing your species for some time. Our studies show humans are violent but not very intelligent. We need to understand your weaknesses better." The third alien stayed by the door, holding something that looked like a weapon. Kevin's fear began to mix with anger. Not very intelligent? That's kind of rude, isn't it? You can't just kidnap people and insult them. Vela tilted her large head. Interesting response. Most specimens show only fear at this point. Kevin stood up slowly. His mind was racing. If this was real, and the cold metal floor under his bare feet felt very real, then he had been abducted by aliens, like in the games he played. Except this was real life. "So what happens now?" Kevin asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Now we begin the tests," Commander Zorn said. "We will measure your physical abilities, your problem-solving skills, and your response to stress. If you cooperate, you will not be harmed. And if I don't cooperate," the commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "That would be unwise." 2 more aliens entered the room. They brought a floating platform with them. "Step onto the transport," Vela said. "We will take you to the testing chambers." Kevin looked around the room. There was no obvious way to escape. The door was guarded, and he had no idea where he was or how to get back to Earth. For now, it seemed best to go along with them. He stepped onto the platform, It hummed louder under his weight but did not sink. The aliens led him out of the room and down a long corridor. The walls were the same shiny metal. Strange symbols glowed on panels they passed. As they moved deeper into the ship, Kevin began to notice things. The layout of the corridors followed a pattern, like the maps in his games. The control panels had a logic to them, groups of symbols arranged in specific ways. And the aliens themselves moved with a certain rhythm, almost predictable. They reached a large door. Zorn placed his six-fingered hand on a panel, and the door slid open. Inside was what looked like a maze. Walls of clear material formed paths that twisted and turned. At the center was a glowing object. Your first test, Vela explained. Reach the energy core at the center. The maze will change as you move through it. Most species take several days to complete this challenge, if they can complete it at all. Kevin looked at the maze. Then he looked at the aliens. A small smile formed on his lips. A maze that changes? That's it? That's like level 5 of Mindbender. I beat that game when I was 15. The aliens looked at each other. Kevin could not read their expressions, but he sensed confusion. Begin when ready, Zorn said. Remember, we are measuring your performance. Kevin rolled his shoulders and cracked his knuckles. Let's do this. He stepped into the maze. The clear walls hummed when he got near them. He touched one carefully. It was solid but warm. Kevin started moving through the maze, turning left, then right, following the paths. As promised, the walls began to shift behind him, changing the route. But to Kevin, this was familiar territory. He had solved countless game mazes. The trick was to understand the pattern of changes. Everything had a pattern if you paid attention. After just 10 minutes, he reached the center. He picked up the glowing energy core, which felt warm in his hands. When he turned around, he saw the aliens staring at him. Even through their alien features, he could read their shock. That's impossible, Vela said. No species has ever completed the maze in less than 8 hours. Kevin smiled wider now. What's the next test? For the first time, Commander Zorn looked unsure. Prepare the logic puzzle chamber, he ordered the guards. As they led Kevin to the next test, a thought occurred to him. These aliens had picked the wrong human to abduct. They thought humans were not very intelligent. They thought he would be an easy subject to study. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Kevin had spent his whole life training for this moment, though he never knew it. Every game he had mastered, every puzzle he had solved, every strategy he had developed, all of it was about to make these aliens very sorry they had chosen him. The next room was larger than the first. It had strange machines along the walls. In the center was a round table with a glowing surface. Kevin stood before it, watching the aliens with careful eyes. This is our logic puzzle chamber, scientist, Vela explained. This test will show us how your mind works. Commander Zorn stepped forward. Most species fail this test. It requires understanding of complex patterns and fast thinking. Kevin just smiled. Bring it on. The glowing table lit. Up, colored shapes appeared on its surface. They moved and changed in what seemed like a random way. You must predict where each shape will go next, Vela said. The patterns get harder as you progress. Kevin nodded and began to tap the table, pointing to where he thought each shape would move. At first he made a few mistakes, but soon his fingers moved with certainty. Level after level, the patterns grew more complex, but Kevin kept up. 2 hours later, the aliens were silent. Kevin had reached level 50. No test subject had ever gone past level 12. Enough, Zorn said finally. This is not possible. Kevin shrugged. Pattern recognition. It's basically the same as tracking enemy movements in Battle Zone 3. The aliens looked at each other again. Kevin noticed a new feeling from them. Was it worry? Take him to the simulation room, Zorn ordered. The guards led Kevin down more corridors. He paid close attention to every turn, every door they passed. In his mind, he was building a map of the ship, just like he would in an exploration game. The Yao simulation room was a large empty space. The walls, floor, and ceiling were white, but they seemed to shimmer slightly. This room can create any environment, Vela explained. We will place you in survival situations to test your responses. The white room suddenly changed. Kevin found himself in a thick forest. Trees towered above him. Strange birds called from the branches. The ground was covered with blue moss. Find water and shelter before nightfall. Zorn's voice came from nowhere. Beware of predators. Kevin looked around. This was just like Wilderness Survivor, one of his favorite games. He checked the position of the sun, or whatever the bright light in the sky was, and started walking downhill. Water always flowed downhill. As he moved through the forest, he gathered things that might be useful. Straight sticks, stones with sharp edges, vines that could be used as rope. The forest animals watched him with curious eyes. Some looked dangerous, with sharp teeth or claws, but Kevin knew from his games that most predators would not attack unless threatened or hungry. He found a stream just as the light began to fade. Following it, he discovered a small cave near a waterfall, perfect for shelter. Using the sticks and vines, Kevin quickly built a simple trap near the cave entrance. Then he used stones to make a fire pit and gathered dry moss for kindling. By the time darkness fell, Kevin had a small fire going, a safe shelter, and traps to warn him of any approaching creatures. The simulation ended suddenly. The forest vanished, and Kevin was back in the White Room. Zorn and Vela entered along with several other aliens in white coverings. Explain how you knew what to do, Vela demanded. Kevin laughed. I've played survival games for years. Find water, find shelter, set up defenses. Basic stuff. One of the new aliens stepped forward. What are these games you keep mentioning? Kevin tried to explain. They're simulations, ways to test skills and solve problems for fun. We have games about almost everything. Fighting, building, surviving, solving mysteries. The aliens talked among themselves in their strange language. Their voices bubbled and clicked. Finally, Zorn turned back to Kevin. We have one more test, the combat simulation. Kevin felt a twinge of worry for the first time. He played fighting games, sure, but he wasn't a real fighter. The room changed again. Now Kevin stood in what looked like a gladiator arena. The ground was red dirt. Stone walls rose around him. Above, strange creatures watched from seats. 3 doors opened in the walls. From each came a different alien creature. One was like a giant insect with sharp claws. Another looked like a lizard walking on 2 legs. The third was a floating ball of tentacles. Survive for 5 minutes, Zorn's voice announced. The creatures moved toward Kevin. He backed away, looking around for anything he could use. There was nothing. The insect creature charged first. Kevin dodged to the side at the last second, just like avoiding an enemy in Space Rangers. The creature crashed into the wall. The lizard creature was smarter. It circled, looking for an opening. Kevin kept moving, keeping all 3 creatures in his sight. Never stand still in a boss fight, Kevin muttered to himself. The floating tentacle creature suddenly shot forward. Kevin dropped to the ground and rolled. The creature missed him, but tore his shirt with one sharp tentacle. Kevin realized he needed a weapon. As the insect creature charged again, he timed his move perfectly. He dodged and stuck out his foot. The creature tripped and fell hard. One of its claws broke off. Kevin grabbed the broken claw. Now he had a weapon. The lizard creature hissed and attacked. Kevin held the claw like a sword, blocking the creature's sharp teeth. He pushed it back and slashed with the claw. The lizard creature retreated. The floating creature came at him again. Kevin threw dirt in its central eye. The creature backed away, tentacles waving wildly. 4 minutes had passed. Kevin was breathing hard. Sweat ran down his face, but he was still unhurt except for the torn shirt. The 3 creatures attacked all at once. Kevin used the insect's claw to keep the lizard back. He kicked the insect in its soft middle. Then he ducked under the floating creature and ran to the far side of the arena. Time's up, Zorn announced. The creatures and arena disappeared. Kevin stood in the white room again, still holding the insect claw that now wasn't there. This time, a large group of aliens entered the room. They wore different colored uniforms and coverings. All of them stared at Kevin with their sets of 4 eyes. "This is not possible," one of the new aliens said. "No untrained species survives the combat test." Kevin was tired now. His legs ached. His hands were sore from gripping the claw weapon, but he still managed a small smile. "You know what your problem is?" he said to the aliens. "You made everything just like a video game, and I've been training for this my whole life." The aliens looked at each other. For the first time, Kevin saw what he was sure was fear in their strange eyes. Zorn stepped forward. "We must discuss what to do with this human. Guard, take him to the holding cell." As the guards led Kevin away, he heard the aliens arguing. Their voices rose and fell like strange music. Kevin smiled to himself. These aliens had no idea what they had started, and they certainly had no idea what a human gamer was capable of. But they were about to find out. The holding cell was small and plain. It had one flat surface that seemed to be a bed. The walls were the same metal as the rest of the ship. One wall was clear, like glass, so the aliens could watch Kevin. Kevin sat on the bed and thought about his situation. He was on an alien ship somewhere above Earth. The aliens had tested him and found he was much smarter than they expected. Now they were deciding what to do with him, but Kevin was not just waiting. He was watching. Every time an alien passed by his cell, he studied them. He noticed which ones wore uniforms and which ones wore the white covering of scientists. He watched how they used the control panels on the walls. Most important, he watched when they opened his cell door to bring him food and water. There was a pattern to how they pressed the symbols on the control panel. Kevin's eyes missed nothing. After eating the strange but not bad alien food, Kevin lay down on the bed. But he was not sleeping. He was planning. In the large meeting room, the aliens argued about Kevin. "This human shows abilities we did not expect," Zorn said. "He completed all our tests too easily." Fella's 4 eyes blinked nervously. "His pattern recognition skills are beyond anything we have seen, and his ability to adapt to new situations is troubling." Another alien, the ship's security chief named Drex, spoke up. "We should terminate the specimen. It poses a risk." "No," said an older alien with pale gray skin. This was High Commander Lox, the leader of the research mission. "The human is too valuable. Think what we could learn from more tests." "More tests would be dangerous," Drex warned. "Each test gives him more information about us and our ship. Then we will be more careful," Lox decided. "No more access to our technology. Keep him in the holding cell when not being tested." Back in his cell, Kevin was ready. When 2 guards came to take him for more tests, he pretended to still be sleeping. They entered the cell and approached the bed. Kevin moved fast. He rolled off the bed and past the guards. Before they could react, he was outside the cell. He pressed the symbols on the control panel in the exact pattern he had seen the guards use. The cell door closed, trapping the guards inside. The guards shouted and hit the clear wall. Kevin smiled and waved at them. Then he ran down the corridor. He knew he needed to find a way to control the ship. From the way the corridors were laid out, he guessed the control room would be at the center of the ship, probably on a higher level. Kevin found a small room with control panels. It looked like a supply area. No aliens were inside. He touched the control panel carefully. Images appeared showing different parts of the ship. "It's like a security system," Kevin said to himself, "just like the one in Space Station Defender." He tapped different symbols, trying to understand how the system worked. After a few minutes, he found what he was looking for: a map of the ship. The map confirmed his guess. The main control room was 3 levels up from where he was now. But to get there, he would need to avoid the aliens who were surely looking for him by now. Kevin studied the map more. He noticed small passages running between the main corridors. They were probably for maintenance or emergencies. They would be perfect for moving around without being seen. He found an entrance to one of these passages in the supply room. It was a small opening near the floor. Kevin squeezed through it and found himself in a narrow tunnel. The tunnel was dimly lit with a soft blue light. Kevin crawled through the tunnel, following the map he had memorized. The tunnel branched many times, but Kevin kept track of every turn. In some places, he could look through small openings and see aliens rushing around in the main corridors. They were clearly searching for him. After 20 minutes of crawling, Kevin reached a point under the main control room. He could hear the aliens above him, their strange voices sounding worried. "The human has disappeared," he heard Zorn say. "He could be anywhere on the ship." "Check all levels," ordered a voice Kevin had not heard before. "It must be High Commander Locks. He cannot be allowed to reach any critical systems." Kevin smiled to himself. He was already closer than they thought. Now he needed a distraction. Looking around the maintenance tunnel, Kevin saw pipes and cables running along the walls. They reminded him of the power distribution system in Engineering Crisis, a game where players had to manage a failing space station. Kevin examined the cables carefully. Different colors probably meant different systems. In the game, red cables were usually for emergency systems. He saw red cables here too. Making a careful choice, Kevin pulled one of the red cables loose from its connection. Immediately, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the tunnel. Above him, the aliens in the control room shouted in surprise. "Emergency in Level 2, someone called out. "Fire suppression system activated in the science lab." "Shut it down," Locks ordered. "Zorn, take a team and check it out." Kevin heard many of the aliens leave the control room. Now was his chance. He found a small access panel in the ceiling of the tunnel. It opened into the floor of the control room. The control room was large, with many stations and screens showing different parts of the ship. Only 3 aliens remained: Locks, Vela, and 1 guard. They were focused on the main screen, which showed the science lab filling with some kind of white fog. Kevin slipped out of the tunnel and hid behind a large piece of equipment. He watched how the 3 aliens worked the control systems. Locks was clearly in charge, giving orders from a central platform. The guard noticed Kevin first. He shouted and reached for his weapon. Kevin didn't wait. He rushed forward and pushed the guard into Vela. Both aliens fell to the floor. Locks turned, his 4 eyes wide with surprise. "How did you get here?" Kevin didn't answer. He jumped onto the central platform and began pressing symbols on the main control panel. He didn't know exactly what they did, but he could guess from the pictures and patterns. "Stop him," Locke shouted. But it was too late. Kevin locked the control room doors, trapping the 3 aliens inside with him. Then he found the ship's communication system. It was time to make a deal. "Listen carefully," Kevin said to Locks. "I control your ship now. If you want it back, we need to talk about how you're going to take me home." Locks's skin turned a paler shade of gray. "This is impossible. A primitive human cannot operate our advanced technology." Kevin laughed. "Your technology isn't that different from the games I play. Now, should we start discussing terms? Or should I see what this big red button does?" The ship's alarms kept blaring. Red lights flashed across the control room. Kevin stood at the main control panel with his fingers hovering over the buttons. The 3 aliens, Locks, Vela, and the guard, watched him with fear in their 4 eyes. "You do not understand what you are doing," Locke said. "You could damage the ship." Kevin nodded. "That's possible, so why don't you help me instead? Show me how to turn off these alarms for a start." Locks hesitated, then stepped forward slowly. He pressed a sequence of symbols on the panel. The alarms stopped, and the normal white lights came back on. "Better," Kevin said. "Now let's talk about how I'm getting home." A voice came through the communication system. It was Commander Zorn. "Hi, Commander, what is happening? We cannot enter the control room." Kevin pressed the communication button. "Hi, Zorn. This is Kevin. I've taken control of your ship. Don't try anything stupid." There was silence for a moment. Then Zorn's voice returned, angry now. Human, release the control room immediately or we will take action. Kevin laughed. What action? I'm in control of all the ship's systems. Look, I can even do this. He pressed some buttons and the lights in the corridor outside the control room turned green, then purple, then back to white. See? Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to take me back to Earth, to the exact spot you took me from. And then you're going to leave and never come back. Locke stepped closer. We cannot do that. You are a research subject. Our mission is to study primitive species. Kevin pressed another button. On one of the screens, he could see a door open somewhere in the ship. Aliens who had been working in that room were suddenly pulled toward the door, grabbing onto anything they could to avoid being sucked out. Oops, Kevin said, and quickly pressed the button again. The door closed. That looked like it might have been an airlock. Good thing I closed it in time. Locke's skin was now almost white with fear. Stop, you will kill us all. I don't want to hurt anyone, Kevin said. I just want to go home. But if you don't help me, I might press the wrong button by accident. Vela stepped forward. High Commander, perhaps we should consider his request. This human has shown he is far more capable than we expected. Locke's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he thought. Finally, he nodded. Very well. We will return you to Earth, but first you must release control of the ship. Kevin shook his head. Nice try. I keep control until I'm back in my apartment. Once I'm home, I'll tell you how to regain control of your systems. How can we trust you? Locke asked. You can't, Kevin admitted. But I don't have much choice either. If you decide to keep me here after I give up control, I'll be stuck. So we both have to trust each other a little bit. At that moment, the control room door began to glow red. The aliens on the other side were trying to cut through it. You should tell them to stop, Kevin suggested, before I have to take more serious actions. Locke quickly pressed the communication button. This is High Commander Locke. Stop cutting the door immediately. We are negotiating with the human. The red glow faded. The cutting had stopped. Kevin looked at the ship's control systems. There were so many buttons and symbols he didn't understand. But he had learned enough to keep the aliens scared. Show me how to set a course for Earth, he said to Locke. The alien commander pointed to a panel with a star map display. This is our navigation system. We can return to your planet's orbit, but we need precise coordinates to return you to your specific location. I can give you those once we're in orbit, Kevin said. Now set the course. Under Kevin's watchful eye, Locke entered commands into the navigation system. The ship hummed as its engines prepared to move. It will take approximately 6 hours to reach Earth orbit, Vela said. Our ship cannot move too quickly within a solar system. Kevin nodded. That's fine. In the meantime, I have some questions. For the next several hours, Kevin kept the 3 aliens in the control room with him. He asked them about their species, their technology, and why they were studying humans. We are the Kraxel, Locke explained. Our empire spans 12 star systems. We study other species to determine if they are threats or potential allies. And what did you decide about humans? Kevin asked. Vela answered. Until now, we believed humans were primitive and no threat. But you have proven that assessment wrong. Kevin smiled. It's not just me. There are millions of gamers on Earth who could do what I did. Some could do it better. This information clearly disturbed the aliens. They looked at each other with worry in their eyes. The council must be informed, Locke said quietly. Humans may need to be reclassified as a potential threat. As the ship approached Earth, Kevin felt both excited and nervous. He was going home. But he now knew Earth was being watched by aliens, and they were afraid of what humans might be capable of. The ship entered Earth orbit. Through the large view screen, Kevin could see the blue and green planet below. It looked beautiful from space. Now we need your location coordinates, Locke said. Kevin gave them his address and tried to describe where his apartment was located. The aliens entered the information into their systems. We can transport you directly back to your dwelling, Vela said. The same way we brought you to the ship. Good, Kevin said. But first I need to make sure you won't come back for me, or any other humans. Lox's 4 eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Kevin had been thinking about this during the journey. I want your promise that you'll leave Earth alone. And I want proof that you'll keep that promise. What proof could we possibly give? Lox asked. Kevin smiled. I've been exploring your computer systems while we talked. I found something interesting. A way to send a message to your homeworld, to your leaders. The aliens looked shocked. Lox stepped forward angrily. You had no right to access those systems. Maybe not, Kevin agreed. But I did anyway, and I've prepared a message explaining exactly how one human took control of your ship. I've also included all the information I learned about your technology and weaknesses. Kevin held up a small device he had found and downloaded the message onto. If anything happens to me, or if I detect your ships near Earth again, this message goes to your leaders. I imagine they wouldn't be happy to learn how easily your ship was captured. Lox and Vela looked at each other in defeat. They knew Kevin had won. You have our word, Lox said finally. We will mark Earth as a prohibited zone. No Kraxel ships will approach your planet. Kevin nodded. Good. Now send me home. Vela operated the transport controls. A green light began to glow around Kevin. Remember, Kevin said as the light grew brighter, I'll be watching the skies, and next time, I'll be ready. The light flashed, and Kevin disappeared from the alien ship. Kevin opened his eyes. He was sitting in his computer chair in his apartment. The screen in front of him still showed his game, paused exactly where he had left it. He looked at the clock on his desk. Only 2 hours had passed since the aliens had taken him. Was it all a dream? He wondered aloud. But then he noticed something in his hand. It was the small alien device he had taken from the ship. It was real. It had all happened. Kevin spent the next few days thinking about his experience. He didn't tell anyone. Who would believe him? But he kept the alien device hidden in a safe place. It was his proof and his protection. 1 week after his return, Kevin was playing games late at night when his computer screen began to flicker. His heart began to race. Were the aliens coming back? Had they broken their promise? But instead of the green light that had taken him before, a message appeared on his screen. It was in the strange symbols of the Kraxial language, but as he watched, it changed to English. Human Kevin, this is scientist Vela. Our council has reviewed the reports of your actions on our ship. Earth has been classified as a dangerous world and placed under quarantine. No Kraxel ships will enter your solar system. Kevin smiled. His plan had worked, but the message wasn't finished. However, your abilities have raised questions. How many humans share your skills? Our scans show many of your people engage in these games you mentioned. Are you training for space warfare? Kevin thought carefully before typing his reply. We're not training for war. Games are just for fun. But yes, many humans have the same skills I do. Some are even better. There was a pause before Vela's response came. This is difficult to believe. Games that train such dangerous skills would not be fun to Kraxial children. Kevin laughed. Humans are different. We like challenges. We like solving problems. That's why we play games. The Council wishes to understand more about humans, but without risk. Would you agree to speak with us through this communication channel? Kevin thought about it. Being a link between humans and aliens was a big responsibility, but it was also exciting. Yes, I'll talk with you, but I have conditions. What conditions? Vela asked. First, this stays secret for now. I don't want government agents showing up at my door. Second, you share information with me too. I want to learn about your species and your technology. The Council will consider your terms. For now, we have more questions about human games and how they develop such skills. Over the next few months, Kevin had many late-night conversations with Vela and other Kraxil scientists. He explained human games, sports, competitions, and why humans enjoyed challenges. The aliens were amazed and confused by much of what he told them. Your species deliberately creates difficult problems just to solve them for pleasure? One alien scientist asked. Exactly, Kevin replied. The harder the problem, the more satisfaction we get from solving it. The Kraxil shared information too. Kevin learned about their empire, their technology, and their history. He kept careful notes, storing everything they told him. 6 months after his abduction, Kevin received an unusual message from High Commander Lox himself. Human Kevin, a situation has developed. Another spacefaring species, the Vorax, has entered your solar system. They are dangerous predators who conquer worlds. The quarantine prevents us from entering your system to warn you directly. Kevin felt a chill. Are they coming to attack Earth? We believe so, Lox replied. Their ships will reach Earth orbit in approximately 30 of your days. Can't you stop them? Kevin asked. You have an empire spanning 12 star systems. The Vorax avoid Kraxil space, they know our strength. But your world has no defenses they can detect. They see an easy target. Kevin thought quickly. What are their weaknesses? How can they be stopped? Lox hesitated before answering. I am not authorized to provide such information. It would violate our non-interference protocols. You're already interfering by warning me, Kevin pointed out. And the Vorax are interfering too. Give me something to work with. After a long pause, Lox sent a large file of information. This contains basic information about Vorax ships and technology. Their communication systems are similar to ours. They may be vulnerable to the same exploits you used against our ship. Kevin studied the information carefully. The Vorax ships were powerful, but their computer systems had weaknesses. They relied on automated systems that could be fooled or confused by unexpected inputs. It gave Kevin an idea. I need to talk to some people, he told Lox. Other humans with skills like mine, but different specialties. Together we might be able to create something that can stop the Vorax. More humans like you? Lox sounded worried. Is that wise? We don't have a choice, Kevin said. I can't stop an alien invasion by myself. Over the next 2 weeks, Kevin carefully contacted 5 other gamers he knew from online competitions. He didn't tell them everything at first, just enough to get them interested in a theoretical project about defending against alien computer systems. Lisa was a network security expert who did hacking competitions for fun. Sam specialized in creating game mods and understood how to change existing systems. Maya was a programmer who could code faster than anyone Kevin had ever seen. Raj was a math genius who could find patterns in anything. And Carlos was a hardware expert who built custom gaming rigs. Together they worked on what Kevin called Project Firewall. Using the information from Lox, they created a virus specifically designed to infect and disable Vorax ship systems. This is the craziest thing I've ever worked on, Lisa said one night as they tested their creation. If I didn't see that alien device with my own eyes, I'd think you were insane. As the Vorax ships approached Earth, Kevin and his team finalized their plan. The virus was ready. Now they needed to deliver it. We need to broadcast it on all frequencies, Kevin explained to Lox, but our Earth technology isn't powerful enough to reach their ships in orbit. We cannot enter your system to help, Lox reminded him. The quarantine is absolute. Then give us the plans to build a stronger transmitter, Kevin suggested. Carlos can build it if he has the right instructions. Lox agreed, and soon Kevin's apartment was filled with strange-looking equipment that Carlos had built following the alien plans. On the day the Vorax ships entered Earth orbit, Kevin and his team were ready. Earth's governments noticed the alien ships and panicked but had no way to respond. Military forces around the world prepared for an invasion they couldn't hope to stop. But before the Vorax could launch their attack, Kevin activated the transmitter. It sent their virus directly to the alien ship's communication systems. The effect was immediate. The Vorax ship's lights flickered. Some began to drift aimlessly. Others fired weapons randomly into space, hitting nothing. It's working. Maya shouted, watching the data on her screen. Their systems are crashing. The virus spread from ship to ship through the Vorax fleet. It rewrote their navigation systems, scrambled their weapons targeting, and played thousands of hours of human gaming videos on their command screens. Within hours, the confused and helpless Vorax ships began to retreat from Earth orbit. Their carefully planned invasion had been stopped by 6 gamers with borrowed alien knowledge and human ingenuity. Later that night, Kevin received a message from the Kraxel High Council itself. Human Kevin, our observers report the Vorax fleet has left your system. This outcome was unexpected. The Council wishes to express gratitude for protecting knowledge of our technology from falling into Vorax hands. Kevin smiled. The aliens still didn't understand. He and his friends hadn't been protecting Kraxel secrets. They'd been protecting Earth. The Council has voted to modify the quarantine protocol. The message continued. While no ships will enter your system, we propose opening formal communication channels with selected humans. Would you serve as our first official contact? Kevin looked around his apartment at his 5 new friends, all celebrating their victory. They had saved the world, and no one would ever know. But they knew. And now they had a chance to learn even more. Yes, Kevin typed back. We would be honored to serve as your contacts, but we have some conditions to discuss. As Kevin began typing the conditions, he couldn't help smiling. The aliens had abducted the wrong gamer, and now not only were they regretting it, but another alien species was too. And this was just the beginning of what humans and their gaming skills could do.